So in this segment, we're going to be talking about 3 ways the EU could retaliate if the UK ditches the Northern Ireland Protocol. Obviously, this isn't a definitive list, but it's some interesting stuff here, honestly. I read through this article, and Lisa Carroll does really good work, worth a follow on Twitter. No doubt, if you're on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, make an account, because Twitter is fun, even though it's a hellhole. A fun hellhole. Anyways, option 1, she states out 3 different options and kind of some of the different aspects of it, which again I found quite interesting. So first, you've got the nuclear option, so the end of the trade and cooperation agreement. These clauses allow the EU to terminate the entire trade deal, spelling the end of tariff-free trade in both directions, along with all other elements of the deal, including, this is important here, the 90-day visa-free holidays. So essentially, a UK citizen can go to the EU, any EU member state, for up to 90 days out of a given 180-day period without a visa. That's great, because if you go for more than 90 days in a year, then you've probably got too much money. If you do, support me on Patreon, but if you don't, it's fine. What point being is that's wrapped in with the trade and cooperation agreement. So if that goes, that will be a lot of people wanting to travel to the EU, needing visas, and potentially being in breach if they don't have their visa sorted out. And obviously the fishing agreement, that's to do with the fishing waters as well. So the amount of nautical miles we have and the quotas, etc. That would be a disaster as well for both sides, but predominantly the UK, especially when we struck out with a fishing deal with Norway. That would essentially return the UK to a no-deal Brexit scenario, but the Northern Ireland Protocol will still be in place as well. So if the trade and cooperation agreement is taken out, then it would mean, in theory, that goods going from GB to NI are meant to be have tariffs paid on them, and then they're meant to get them back via some sort of rebate. However, obviously, given that the UK are looking to get rid of the protocol, it wouldn't really matter. That, along with damaging consequences, including the suspension of police and security cooperation. So that's one where, I don't think we have access to EU databases as such, but we still talk to the EU in order to deal with criminals, etc., and deal with crime, cross-border crime. Obviously, that wouldn't happen, which would be sad. This requires 1 year's notice. Now, I didn't know that. I thought it was a lot shorter than that. It would take 1 year's notice. It may not appeal to member states who want to show that they have real teeth in the face of what they consider an act of bad faith by the UK. So when Kwasi Kwarteng said recently that if for the UK to cancel the whole trade and cooperation deal, he said the UK would have 9 months. Evidently, he was wrong, but I was also wrong. It would take 12 months for that to happen. But there are other options which are far quicker. His finger on the button option, Article 521. This would allow the EU to suspend the trade parts of the trade and cooperation agreement, leaving all areas agreed. So essentially, certain bits of it would be cancelled, not the whole thing, it's a nuclear option, but it's not as egregious as the first one we mentioned. That would keep visa-free holidays and police cooperation intact, which would be good. Again, this option may not appeal to member states as it would not deliver the practical objectives to demonstrate the EU has teeth. And I disagree with that, because if it suspends the trade part of the trade and cooperation agreement, if you're talking about tariffs and things like that, I think that absolutely does have teeth. It seems to me unlikely that they would do this. Frankly, if things got so bad that the EU is talking about terminating parts of the treaty, it seems unlikely that they would carry on cooperate in other areas, says Barnard. But what my opinion is, that they might use this option here because it doesn't take 1 year's notice, so it would make sense to use this one, 521 for example, and they can use that to target specific Tories. So if they say, okay, look, the Tories causing the most problems, they live in fishing areas or farming areas, we can target those specific fish or those specific farm products. If it's oats, barley, whatever, the EU can put tariffs on those specific products to really punish those farmers. The EU has formed for that. They've done it before to George W. Bush. Trade war in a week, Article 506, Paragraph 2. This one also very interesting. This allows the EU to suspend in whole or in part access to its waters. So the UK, we won't have access to EU fishing waters. The advantage from the EU's point of view is that you only have to give 7 days notice, so a trade war could be started within a week. The only issue is that if the UK does retaliate, it will cause more problems for French fishermen who have had issues getting access to UK waters. So that one, I don't know if they would go for, but it would cause a big stink. Plus the fact that individual nations would have to police their own waters, which would be quite difficult. Moreover, Article 506 allows for wider retaliation if deemed necessary. So essentially, the EU could slap tariffs on fish and other goods within a week. So this will probably be the quickest option because it's only 7 days notice, and obviously the EU can cancel it within those 7 days if they want to. But this, again, these two here, right, option 3 and option 2 seem like the smart options. He goes, is it an either-or situation? Barnard says the EU could do all of them at the same time, but it's more likely that they may try to escalate. Matters. So I'm assuming he's saying that they would want to escalate things, so they could probably do them all at once. For the EU to be considering pressing the button on any of these options is remarkable in the history of trade disputes. If you look at the WTO, the number of disputes between states is relatively small. I remember an example between China and the US, which took a while, but it wasn't the biggest trade dispute. It was over subsidies, farming subsidies, I believe it was. The whole purpose of the dispute resolution mechanism is to resolve arguments. That's why you have provisions in the withdrawal agreement and the trade and cooperation agreement. So essentially he's saying like the WTO is there for kind of smaller issues, I think probably more subsidies and other things, rather than a massive scale trade dispute, which is why the TCA has these other mechanisms built in order to kind of deal with the UK if we step out of line. And if there's one thing we know about the UK, we love stepping out of line. So if we recap quickly, option 1, terminate the entire protocol, takes it 1 year's notice. Not going to be the one they go for because it just takes too long and it has too many other like things built into it, like a visa holiday, 90-day visa-free travel, and the fishing agreement. And also, if they terminate the deal, when it comes to any renegotiations in the future, can this trade deal be used again, or does it have to go through, come through again from scratch? So I think that's why they won't go for it. I think suspending parts of the agreement make more sense. Again, they've got Article 521. They can suspend parts of the trade and cooperation agreement. He says that it'd be unlikely because they would want something that has a bit more teeth. But again, if this thing sticks, if this thing sticks tariffs on people or quotas and etc., it does show you it has a bit of teeth in it. But I'm assuming it doesn't because he's talking about trade war within a week, allows the EU to suspend it in whole or in part access to its waters. Article 506 also allows for wider retaliation if deemed necessary. In other words, it could slap tariffs on fish and other goods within 7 days. And again, it does give the EU that kind of ability to target specific constituencies. They can look at a whole host of constituencies. They can say, all right, look, this Boris Johnson's constituency, I think it's in Oxford. They export these things. Dominic Raab down in the south, he exports his constituency exports these things. A range of options here. That if your constituency has a farm or a specific kind of export, maybe it's cheese, for example, a specific kind of cheese, they can put tariffs on those, and those farmers lose a lot of trade, and they might go to their MP and say, look, because of you guys now my product is 30% more expensive to export to the EU. People aren't buying my stuff because of you. What are you going to do? Are you going to compensate me? Or I'm not going to vote for you. I'll vote Lib Dem or I'll vote Labour, depending on the constituency. So in the end, the EU does have options. I think options 2 and 3, probably option 3 makes the most sense. It's only 1 week's notice. If things change, they can always cancel it. And so it puts the UK on a very short leash there. And it does give the EU the ability to essentially trade war within a week. A very escalatory option. Escalatory, is that a word? I've just made it up. An escalation option in that sense. Because the first one, Articles 770 and 779 don't make sense. It's gonna have to be this one here, 506. It's gonna have to be this one. And so shouts out Lisa Carroll and Bernard, who've been cited in this article. It's pretty good work. I know I did a video on this a while ago with different things about where it could go in terms of arbitration, in terms of the courts. Shouts out Geraldine for helping me with that one. Shouts out Dan Dastardly as well. But this one's a very different kind of article and a different kind of video, I suppose. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.